Okay, let's go ahead and start talking about some practical applications of dialogue and what it looks like in action. Okay, so here's the setting. The setting is you're taking a psychology course and you've been asked to speak with a child about the topic of your choice and record the results. Notice the format utilized for the documentation of real speech. Now, I will point out that this is fairly weak dialogue, and so this is not the kind of dialogue you want to be writing, at least after you revise. So I asked the boy, "So, do you like cartoons?" He said, "Mm-hmm." I then said, "Well, you probably like Bugs Bunny." He responded, "I like the tunes with guns in them. Bugs don't carry a gun." Okay, so obviously this is grammatically correct. We've got the indents, we've got commas where we need them, we've got punctuation inside of the quotes, we have quotes around material. Overall, not awful. But what we do see here is some very simple responses and not a whole lot of background information or lively interchange. And so if you look, we've got said, asked, responded, kind of boring. So let's take a look at how we could then improve this, clean it up, and move it to the next level. Okay, so taking a look here at, sorry, I'm gonna have to click here, through here, get to the next part. Little intermission, quick review. Okay, so this would be what we would consider to be strong dialogue. And strong dialogue looks a little bit more robust. So I entered the living room. The small boy sat stiffly on the floor at the base of the television as he mechanically placed potato chips into his mouth. His eyes appeared glossed over. It seemed as if he merely stared through the screen. I interrupted him. "So do you like cartoons?" "Uh-huh," he muttered without looking away from the screen. He loaded another chip into his mouth. Crunch, crunch, crunch. "Well, you probably like Bugs Bunny." The boy stopped mid-chew, and he turned to me with wrinkled brows. "I like the tunes with guns in them. Bugs don't carry a gun." So, taking a look here, this information here really sets the scene. Obviously, there's no dialogue here, but this is important. This sets us up. This paints, it illustrates and shows us what the scene that we're looking at before the dialogue even begins. And then we obviously have some livelier verbs. I interrupted him. Mm-hmm. And that he muttered without looking away from the screen. So in with a verb, we also have some of what the boy is doing. We get the crunch, crunch, crunch. This wasn't in the original. And then here, we don't even have, because we have that indent, we don't even need to suggest, we know that we're switching to the next speaker. So we don't need to say necessarily in all cases interrupted or muttered or any of those verbs indicating the speaker. So then the boy stopped mid-chew and turned to me with wrinkled brows. Again, this is all background information. It sets the scene. And so when you're writing dialogue, it's not just about the words that your speakers are, your characters are using. It's also about the entire situation that they find themselves in. So make sure that when you're thinking about dialogue and you start writing your own dialogue coming up here in a few minutes, that you incorporate some of those more complex elements. So let's go on to the next item. And this is where you're going to get some practice writing your own dialogue. Okay, and now we're going to move over here. All right, so now it's your turn. And let's take a look here. So for your turn, you're going to take this rough dialogue down below, which isn't even, it's not punctuated. There's nothing here really other than some words. And you're going to create at least 2 sentences to set up the scene. You're going to develop a sense of each character. So make sure that the characters here, that you develop who they are. What are they like? What are their personalities? What do they look like? What are they doing? What's the action in the scene? Then you're going to use these fillers to begin the dialogue. Make sure that you use some colloquial, make it sound real, contractions, maybe give one of them an accent or something along those lines. In some places here, like "let us go out for breakfast," that's formal. That's not how most of us actually talk in real life. Instead, we would say something like, "Hey, let's go out to breakfast." And so change the formal to informal wherever you need to. Make sure that all your punctuation is correct based on the rules that we just looked at. And then at the end, I want you to add 2 of your own lines of dialogue. And so this is sort of your task here. And so let me give you some instructions as to how you're going to do this. The first thing you're going to do, this is going to be an assignment in your writing portfolio number 1. And so you're going to need to go ahead and open that document. And then under that document, you can begin typing the dialogue. Again, you're going to be using these, following all of these directions right here, and then you should have no problem with this. Few things for those of you who have any questions or you want to review this Prezi is available either through the hyperlink or directly within D2L, so you can go through it at your own pace without my analysis and discussion. It might help you be able to see some of this text a little bit better if your screen resolution is higher, and so feel free to find those files there. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email me. My email is crauscher, once again, at fvcc.edu. All right, I hope you guys all have a great week.